The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
CrossedFlags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Well, good afternoon or good morning or good evening or whatever it is where you are. For us, broad daylight here in the state of Alabama on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. I'm Steve West. That's Matt Nicholson behind the scenes, producer John and producer Molly helping us make sure that we got everything up everywhere it is supposed to be. As you can tell by the backgrounds here, home game once again. Wondering about internet from time to time, and I'll be honest with you, I'm over here looking at the upper right-hand corner of my screen, and so far, so good. Let's hope that continues. In the meantime, let's get into the business at hand. We're going to talk about Denny Hamlin and his post-race celebration and some of the comments coming up in a moment. We're also going to talk about Ford and their adventures in NASCAR, shall we say. But first things first. In watching the Formula One race at Monaco, I was unimpressed, I guess might be the way to put it. 22 cars started, 15 finished. Yikes. And it all started on lap one. Max Verstappen's car, for some reason, his internal combustion engine said, I don't feel like racing today. And it crapped out, and he limped around on battery power and retired the car without even completing a lap. Then you had wrecks and other mechanical problems and so on and so forth. And then the drama at the end, where Charles Leclerc said he had a problem with his brakes, said it had nothing to do with what happened on the track, even though during the red flag they fixed a problem on the track at Monaco. He said it was his brakes that caused him to go straight into the wall. Well, during that red flag period, they all go into the pits and everything. They come back out, they do effectively a formation lap, and they're going to restart the race. Well, Formula One has the ability to either restart the race on a rolling restart or via the same way that they would start the race, which is a standing start. That's how they chose to do it. Producer John should have a picture of the Cadillac of Sergio Perez. And if you look right where that arrow is pointing, you can see he's a little over his box. His tire sits squarely on the front end of the box, which means the whole front wing is over it. That caused a 10-second penalty, which we'll dive into more on the big show. But that 10-second penalty also cost Cadillac their first ever points in Formula One because he finished the race in 10th place as they crossed the finish line. But the 10-second penalty, because it was a 5-lap shootout and they couldn't get that much separation, caused him to drop from 10th to 15th. So Aston Martin gets their first points of the year with Fernando Alonso. Thoughts on this? I mean, how egregious is this from your point of view? You're the driver, you're the racer, and I get it, rules are rules, but how egregious is this?
Pretty bad if you ask me, because that should have been the team principal and the engineer should have been spotting him and saying, all right, they should have spotted it and said, you're out of your box. Back up, back up, back up. They should have alerted him instead of just letting him sit there and letting it go, and then all of a sudden, oh, you got a 10-second penalty.
Right.
They should have alerted him and let him know.
Is there a silver lining in this cloud here? And the reason I ask that is I get it. You got 7 cars that end up falling out. One of them, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez's teammate. But is there a silver lining in the fact that he's actually able to place that car in 10th place, considering the performance issues that they've had so far this year?
I think so, because, you know, him having that showing, in my opinion, Perez is arguably his best track, Monaco. He's got a win there and ran really, really well in the past. So, yes, I say there's a silver lining because he was able to get all that he could get out of that car to give them a real read, in my opinion, on what they need to do to keep improving and keep getting better.
Okay. FIA just came out with that list, and we'll detail that whole list about the engine upgrade report coming up on the big show on Saturday. but Ferrari was in there as one of the ones surprisingly listed as being allowed to have 2 upgrades. And I say surprisingly because Ferrari themselves are doing great. They're sitting second in the Constructors' Cup, and both of their drivers are doing well, despite the fact that Charles Leclerc ended up hitting the wall and taking himself out of that race. But this is a collective thing, because not only is Ferrari giving themselves their own engines, they're providing engines to Haas F1 and to Cadillac. And that situation right there, their lack of performance, Haas F1 isn't doing too bad. They've got 21 constructors points, but Cadillac sitting in the basement, they got 0. So this can only help them as well, presuming, of course, that Ferrari is willing to share on down the line fully exactly the upgrades that they're giving.
Yep, it should.
Okay. So right now, what we're looking at is we think that maybe Cadillac has turned something of a corner, and they should probably be looking for their first points, in the next 5 races, maybe?
5 to 6, yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that's a fair number.
Maybe before the August break?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. All right. So Cadillac's on the up. Ford, on the other hand, as we switch gears and turn our attention from Formula One to NASCAR, Ford, you noted something in this past weekend here. What was it that stuck out to you? Now, keep in mind, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series had the weekend off, but hey, in the end, that really didn't matter, did it? Because the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series doesn't have a Ford to speak of. Craftsman Truck Series and the Cup Series both run at Michigan, one of, if not the fastest track currently on the NASCAR circuit. And you noticed something about Ford racing over this past weekend. What was it?
The first time in 81 Michigan races that Ford did not lead a single lap in a Cup Series race there.
Ouch.
81.
And when you look at the Truck Series race, a couple of Toyotas there with a Chevrolet, when we're talking about Corey Heim coming in, beating his Tricon Garage teammate in Caden Honeycutt, and the guy sitting in third was the Moonlighter Carson Hocevar, who was running a Chevy.
Ford's got some work to do. Ford better pick it up, or they're going to get left behind in a hurry.
Well, and that brings the question up, because you and I talked about it a little bit, and I think you may have mentioned it on the air. We certainly talked about it off the air during the big show last weekend during commercial breaks, in the fact that it really doesn't seem like NASCAR is a big priority for Ford at this point in time.
I don't feel like it is, because I feel like they're trying to ride the coattails of Red Bull. All they're doing is just their Ford powertrains.
Right. And that's great for Formula One, and that's great for their performance in their first year in Formula One. But really, your name in racing was kind of made here, stateside in NASCAR.
Yeah, it really was. And one of the main technical directors for Ford with NASCAR, Paul DeMarco, he's retired, effective June 1st. Mm-hmm. So Ford is cracking at the seams, in my opinion, because they've been essentially non-existent all year.
This is a loaded question, and I know it, but I'll ask it anyway. Is this a simple fix, or is this a very, very complicated fix that may take a heck of a lot of time to figure out and actually put back together the right way?
I'm going to say it's right there in the middle. It can be fixed, but it's not it can be fixed, but it's not an easy fix. Because I'm sure Robert Yates is turning over in his place of rest, scratching his head going, what in the world is going on?
And is it a situation with Doug Yates? Is it the engine specifically that we're worried about?
I think it's the car.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a horsepower problem.
Okay. And I'm kind of with you on that. Say hello to my wife as she passes by in the background. That is the curiosity there, because the engines don't really seem to be the problem. We see speed out of Team Penske. We see speed out of RFK Racing. So the engines, like you said, don't really seem to be the problem. And I don't really see them as being the problem in the Truck Series either, because they're all basically the same.
Yeah, the old more spec engine. So from the truck side, it's aero.
Okay.
It's aero on the truck side.
Because how much of it is aero on the Cup side? Because rumor has it that they're working on a new body for the Mustang.
It's a substantial amount.
Okay. So they really need to rework the body.
Because it's clear as day that Toyota's got it figured out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, obviously they do. Chevrolet seems to have more consistent speed, maybe the better way to put it, than what Ford does. Even though they're not tearing anything up by any stretch, they are certainly performing better than Ford is.
Oh, for sure.
As a whole.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay. Well, Ford's got work to do. The question is are they more worried about Formula One and other racing series, or are they actually going to put their nose to the grindstone and start concentrating on what they've got in NASCAR?
They better pick it up, all I got to say.
And I'm not really sure we have an answer to that.
No.
But I'll tell you who does have an answer. It's Denny Hamlin. Think about what Denny Hamlin has done the last couple of weeks. Yeah, he had a penalty which shoved him all the way to the back of the field, and he ends up going all the way back up through the field and claiming the win. And then this week he claims yet another pole, but they had to do some work to the car after qualifying before the race started, so that pole position effectively, while he gets credit for it, goes bye-bye. He has to start at the tail end of the field. What did he do? He rolled his way right up through the field again. And you see the post-race celebration, very, very cool post-race celebration on the part of Joe Gibbs Racing, putting the 18 out there, which is the number he ran while he was with Joe Gibbs Racing, but also highlighting that number 8, his last number with Richard Childress Racing. And, of course, that famed signature of Kyle Busch's, because that ties him with Kyle Busch on the all-time wins list. They're both now tied flat-footedly 9th on the all-time Cup Series wins list with 63. There has been, you and I have talked about this in the past, and both Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin have both seen this in the fact that they have gone from the enemy, the bad guy, the villain, the guy wearing the black hat, however you wish to put it, to being kind of, if not at least on the sentimental side, becoming somewhat fan favorites. And that only helped that when it came to Denny Hamlin, I can guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, that was pretty classy, in my opinion. And one part of the burnout that he did, he shaped out at number 8.
Yeah. Yep.
So, very classy.
Wanted to definitely show you that. And when it comes to Denny Hamlin, like him or not, you gotta admire the man for not saying, hey, listen, I've only got like a year and a half left on my contract. And considering all the stuff that's gone on with his dad and with his family and all the things that have been going on the past 6 months with friends and, NASCAR family, losing members of that, you do kind of wonder at some point in time, was he just going to give up? But he hasn't. And and here's the credit, and we'll talk about this more on the big show on Saturday, but I'll give him the ultimate in credit when I say this. He flat out admits, I am going to quit after next year. I'm going to run out my contract, which goes through the 2027 season, and then I'm done. At this point in time, I'm all about chasing stats, which means he's out there just trying to get wins.
And he rightfully should, because he's got a really good shot of he's got a very good shot of getting higher, much higher.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say it's out of the question that Dale Earnhardt's number is not out of reach.
Dale was the one that I was thinking of. You start to get up into the Jimmy Johnson, Cale Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Allison territory of the low to mid 80s. That means he's got to get another 20 wins in the next year and a half.
That won't happen.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling it won't, but he needs what? Is it 75 to tie Dale Earnhardt? Am I remembering that?
76 tie.
Okay, 76. I knew it was right in the middle of the 70s right there. I don't know, not this year. Even though he is looking like the ultimately dominant guy right now, I don't think it'll happen this year because there's just too much parity in this in the Cup Series. But yeah, I could say by this time not this time next year, but by the end of next year, and when he's ready to step out of that car, I could easily see him in Dale Earnhardt territory.
Yep. Yeah, I could easily see it.
Which begs the question. It begs a question, and I get it. Jeff Gordon was an ultimate black hat because everybody considered him to be the arch enemy of Dale Earnhardt. When Jeff Gordon tied and passed, so to speak, Dale Earnhardt in numbers of wins at different locations, there were some upset people about that. Do we see the same thing if Denny Hamlin starts to approach that number?
Personally, I don't think so.
Okay.
I personally don't think so because Dale Earnhardt sits 8th on the all-time list with 76. Mm-hmm. And then Cale Yarborough and Jimmy Johnson are tied with 83.
Right.
So it'll be close.
Okay. But you think it'll be accepted well? If he does get to that point, do you think the fans will accept it well?
I think so, because numbers are meant to be broken.
Sure. But it's Dale Earnhardt.
It's Dale Earnhardt. But I think, I would say it would be.
Okay. And that's the important part. Because, I remember vaguely Hank Aaron approaching Babe Ruth's magical number of 714 home runs. And, you look at the NBA and you've got LeBron James out there who surpasses Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time points list. And some of those are not well accepted. I mean, Hank Aaron approaching Babe Ruth, that was, whoa, how dare you approach the baseball god of all time, right? It was a little less so when it came to LeBron surpassing Kareem, but at the same time, we all wanted to remember Kareem for being Kareem. And why should anybody pass him? And it's all these numbers for all these very, very heralded guys, and we all kind of approach it with some sort of trepidation. And I was just kind of curious as to whether Dale Earnhardt, who we do put up on a pedestal, I mean, we really do, just kind of wondering how that might be accepted. So that's kind of the curiosity. Feel free, comment down below. Producer John will make sure that the comments are available to you. And let us know what you think. Should Denny Hamlin get to the point where he is approaching and maybe threatening to surpass Dale Earnhardt? How do you feel about it as a fan? And we might actually open that up for conversation this Saturday too on The Big Show. Sound like a plan?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, my internet held out, or at least on my side it did. Who knew? Maybe we've turned a corner there. Hey, Ford Racing, it can be done. Thanks to producer Molly and thanks to producer John for their work in the background. Appreciate it very much. Matt, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday morning as we do 2 hours once again, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time.
Let's do it.
All right. That'll be on Talk 99.5, on YouTube at Real Talk 99.5 TV, or, of course, right here where you're getting this, of course, which is CRN Live on YouTube, assuming, of course, you're not watching one of the ones that we've transferred over to either Jocks or Real Talk. But hey, all kinds of options for you. And don't forget, tell your friends about it so they subscribe. We're starting to see that number inch up again. Very much thanks to you and spreading the word around. And don't forget to tell your friends we're also on Spotify. They can listen to us there as well. Thank you very much for that. We'll talk to you and see you Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.